this month's review, I'm going to do a review of a class I took a few weeks ago. I took a long-range precision rifle class, and the more time I have to dwell on it, the more I actually enjoyed the class. So, quick history lesson. My dad and I both bought Ruger Precisions in 6.5 Creedmoor in the last couple years or so. It was going to be a cool father-son thing to do. We bought a membership to the local gun range, long-range gun range, and by local I mean whatever the closest one was. It's still quite the drive out there. We knew about the Streetlock Pro app from reading up on the sport, and both had purchased it prior to taking the class. We even had our rifle zeroed in at the local gun range, and then we headed out to the long-range club. The first couple of trips we were out there verifying our zero and started to work the app and hitting targets between 200 and 400 yards. Our last trip in July, we both hit the target at 1,000 yards. Then we took this class. Knowing that I had hit the 1,000-yard target already, I really didn't know what to expect from the class, but I definitely wanted to learn something. So I took the class with my dad and brother-in-law, and there was 2 others in the class, so there was a total of 5 of us. The class was about 8 hours on the first day, which was Saturday, and about 6 hours at the range, the long-range range, on Sunday. The first half of the class time was spent going over what we needed for long range. There were, what are the different types of guns, custom versus factory, bolt versus semi-auto, the scopes, calibers. Everyone had a bolt-action rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor except brother-in-law. He had a bolt gun in 30-06. The second half of the class was on the Streetlock Pro app, and man, is it a powerful tool. I could spend hours talking about the app itself. However, I'll forgo that and let the hours of help videos on YouTube be your guide if you want to check those out. I had already set up my rifle and scope and ammo in the app, and so it was fun to start playing with the app. I think one of the biggest takeaways from the first day of the class was the math. So I've got a mil scope, mil or MRAD, and I'm going to be using all that for the math here. The scope is a Vortex Viper PST, first focal plane scope. On a quick side note, the reason I went with first focal plane is that no matter what magnification, the reticle will always show me the mils. First focal plane, the reticle will zoom with the magnification. Second focal plane won't zoom as you zoom in and out. The reticle in the scope will be correct at a certain magnification. You should find that either on the scope or on the box. So with a 1/10 mil correction at 100 yards, it is equal to 0.36 inches, about a third of an inch. So if you go click 1/10 over, your shot should be about a third of an inch to whatever direction you went. And that's awesome, right? Such fine adjustment at 100 yards, but let's take that all the way out to 1,000. At 1,000 yards, an adjustment of 1/10 of a mil is actually 3.6 inches. So how did I get that? First, take your 1,000 yards and divide it by 100. This will give you 10, and that's your multiplier. Then multiply the 0.36 inch by 10. So at 100 yards, 1/10 of a mil adjustment is actually 3.6 inch swing. The reason why you divide everything by 100 is because it is an angle measurement and not a linear measurement. So the farther out you go, the wider the swing is. Now, a 3.6 inch swing is a very large adjustment if your target is only, say, 6 inches in diameter. Now let's take that and apply some real-world applications with my setup and the Streetlock app. Let's go ahead and get the Streetlock app up. Okay, so I've got this set up at 1,000 yards, no wind, Coriolis effect, which is the rotation of the earth, weather, there's my rifle, Ruger Precision 6.5. I've got my scope zeroed at 100 yards. It's 2.5 inches above the bore of my rifle, and 10th mil rads up and down, left and right. We're using 140 grain ELD match Hornady, bullet speeds at 80 miles at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, ballistic coefficients, etc., etc., etc. Click calculate, and there we go. So to hit the 1,000 yards, target at 1,000 yards, I would need to go up 9.4 mils and left 0.3. And it says, so let's do the quick math, right? At 9.4 mils, yes, I know it shows it on the screen, but let's just go through the calculation here. So let's get the app going, or the calculator here. So at 0.36 inches at 100 yards times, we've got 94 1/10 clicks, or 94 clicks at 1/10 each, times the 10, because 1,000 yards divided by 100 is 10, we get 338.4 inches. So that means we're actually, when we put the crosshairs on the target, we're actually aiming 338 inches above the target. The gun itself is aiming that, even though our scope is dead on. And that's crazy. Doing the math like that. Me being a numbers guy, computer science guy, I love numbers. And so this all started making sense as to what we were doing, why we were doing it, how we were doing it. So Streetlock app says 337. That's also rounding, and that's also due to Coriolis effect, like I said, the rotation of the Earth. So, and weather, speed, all that kind of stuff will affect the flight path of the bullet. Okay, so that's, like I said, that's all set up here. So do you think the twist rate of the barrel, has anything to do with it? Absolutely. So right now I've got my rifle set up with a right-hand twist, 1 in 8 twist, but let's just do a left-hand twist. Let's go back real quick. So right-hand twist is up 337 with left 10 inches. Left-hand twist, click that, click calculate, and now it's the same windage or same elevation, but now we have to go right 5 inches. So what are we? That's a 15-inch swing to the right, just to because left hand versus right hand twist. Why is that? The bullet coming out of a right hand twist wants to go right and up, and out of a left hand twist wants to go left and down. So we have to account for that. Let's go back to my right hand twist and get that back. So yeah, left 10 inches. So now, right hand twist, left hand twist, that all makes a big difference on where we're aiming. So then let's add some wind. This wind is 9 miles an hour from right going left. And now, with our right hand twist barrel, we have to aim right 53 inches. And we actually, is that the same? No, we now have to aim a little lower, 334, because with that wind and the rotation of the bullet, it generates a little bit of lift, so we don't have to aim quite as high over the targets to hit the target. So now, let's see. Yeah, right 1.5 mils at 1,000 yards. So left-hand twist was... Oh, yeah, so that's right-hand twist, right? Now let's do left-hand twist. And close and calculate. Now we have to do 341 inches up, and we go right 68 inches. Again, that's because the left-hand twist is going to want to go left, so we have to swing that right farther. So all these little things affect the flight of a bullet, especially everything is magnified at 1,000 yards. Okay, so that's at 9 miles an hour wind speed. But wait, let's just say the wind picked up 1 mile an hour more. So now it's no longer 9, it is 10. 10 miles an hour. Right? That's no big deal. Here in Kansas, it picks up 5, 10, 15 miles an hour, no problem. You blink and it's a tornado. Let's see. So let's calculate this. 10 mile an hour. Remember, it's 334 inches up and 53 right on a right-hand twist. And now, with a 10 mile an hour wind, we are at 333 inches up and 60 inches right. That's 1 inch lower and 7 inches to the right, just because of that 1 mile an hour difference in wind speed. So if you're trying to hit a 12-inch plate at 1,000 yards, you've missed the target because you have a 7-inch swing to the right. If you don't account for that 1 mile an hour wind difference. So it's a wonder we can even hit the target at all. And that's if everything else is correct in the app. Bullet weight, velocity, the bullet's coefficient, all this affect the results of where we have to actually aim. So on the second day of the class, we put all this knowledge to the test. We made sure the scopes were zeroed and then started hitting the targets at 200 yards, 400 yards, and 500 yards. 815 yards, I think, was the next one out, and then at 1,000 yards. And we hit it. We hit 1,000 yards again. Then came the fun. We did a little PRS style match. We did about 10, well, we didn't do about, we did 10 rounds at those five distances, but it was timed. On average, the class did it in about 4.5 minutes with an average of, I think, 3 or 4 hits out of the 10. So 2 shots at 200, 2 at 4, 2 at 5, 2 at 815, 2 at 1,000. Hit or miss, you move on. Like I said, we did about 4.5 minutes per. So then our instructor, who is a PRS veteran of 10 plus years, I think is what he said he was doing it, did it in about 72 seconds. And that's after quite a while of no practice. Still 72 seconds. That was pretty good. I think he hit 9 out of the 10. I think at 1,000 yards, he missed 1 due to windage was slightly different. My biggest problem was forgetting to adjust for the elevation. Scope adjust for the elevation. I had it in my head that I was going to do the windage, a change on the scope, looking through the scope reticle. But yeah, that didn't happen either. So after that, we pushed it out to 1,070 yards and hit that target, which is a new personal best for me. Then came the barricade. This contraption is used for tiebreakers. For this particular setup, it was 4 positions at 400 yards, 2 kneeling, 2 standing. Hits count first, then time. So if the tiebreaker, you got the 2 or 3 or however many guys up there, they all hit 10 shots, then whoever did it the fastest wins. But whoever gets more hits, wins the tiebreaker. I did it in 1:50, I believe is what my time was, and I hit 7 out of the 8. I'm pretty sure I pulled that one. So I figured out that I have not outgrown my rifle yet. I need to stick to and practice the fundamentals. On the app, go top to bottom. Make sure that I put in my yardage, my angles. Didn't get to that, but angles could be important. Wind speed, wind direction, zeroing weather, all that kind of stuff. Got to make sure all that is filled out. And then when I have those calculations, make sure I go left to right on my scope. On the left-hand side is the parallax adjustment. On the top is the elevation. On the left is the windage. Got to do those every time. Slow down, do those every time. And then once I get those down, I can start speeding up and taking shortcuts, like averaging the parallax correction if I'm doing a PRS style course of fire. So this, like I said, I really enjoyed taking the class. It was 2 days. It was well worth the money that I spent on it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys have taken a class and you think I should take one too and do a review on it, please let me know in the comments, and we will see where all this goes. Thank you very much.